remember that they're changing my voice. So the picture on the screen was a picture that I had the foresight and presence of mind to take. It shows a conversation I had with my ex-fiancé when she returns, maybe the second to last time, or maybe the last time. I think it was the second to last time. And in it, you see that she says, "I'm very glad that you're my boo again." Okay, I'm pretty sure she's the one who's saying it. But you can tell that I treat her a certain way. And it's a private message, right? I treat her a certain way that reflects that I understand how to treat women better than everyone else. Better than the lesbian, better than the other guys, better than anyone in white culture, you name it. And I'm the most fair with women, to the point that my screen name was even intensely eloquent gentleman. And that's very similar to the phrase I use when I describe my religion as universal pinpointed moral precision and focused moral intensity. So if you're trying to be precisely right to a woman, what do? You try to pinpoint being a gentleman, right? In terms of universal and not necessarily white culture. And you try to make it an intense relationship where she feels alive. There's a fiery passion, right? So I'm intensely eloquent. So I felt that I needed to emphasize that part more, which was being eloquent and elegant. Okay. But my relationship with her was based on divine love that goes beyond the word eloquent. But when I was dealing with a white and whitewashed society, I felt that if I made that name, it would improve my chances of being treated fairly. And so I did see myself as somebody, I'm the son of 2 doctors, one a brain surgeon. I used to live in a house that's now worth $5 million in Saratoga. Okay, it's clear that I've been a righteous person for a long time. So that probably occurred maybe, that might be a talk I had with her when I was, when I was still making videos, right? When I was making videos in like 2009 or 2010. But it probably occurred before that, or there's a good chance that it did. One thing's for sure, it shows a continuity. I was talking to her since maybe 2006 or so. I don't remember the exact year, but it goes back. And then you have that song from when I was 16 in 1997 or early 1998, where I say that females want to bawl and ignore the deeper call, and they're through stressing me. And I say things that reflect that I'm a righteous person who's been trying to reason with people in terms of being righteous for a long time. So it's established on record that I'm a good person. But in fact, I'm the most righteous person to ever live. But even if you didn't believe that because you're insane or something, you must know that I consistently and effectively project righteousness. So what a woman has to go on is that I'm a righteous person. So if I'm being shunned in a society where people project being lukewarm at best, they project being just a fun-loving, mischievous person, something's really wrong with that society, right? And there should be an intervention. People should be trying to reason with women effectively and not within the boundaries of white supremacy. The major problem here today, as many white people have pointed out, is white supremacy. White supremacy is the number one problem that affects America. It's rejecting God because of white supremacy, more specifically. Cheating me out of my rightful place. Why? For your orders of white supremacy and token minorities who are whitewashed, and thugs with no higher cause who are run behind the scenes by the CIA, who's a bunch of white people and whitewashed people, right? At least they're commanding officers, their leaders, what have you. Pretty straightforward. Social clubs are whitewash clubs, white and whitewash clubs. Corporations, white and whitewashed. The government, the military, you name it. Keep in mind, I just got fumed right now by some kind of vehicle that is coming from, the government for talking about this. They don't stay true to what they said on paper like Martin Luther King said. They don't believe in human rights and constitutional rights. They believe in white supremacy. Right on cue. It just happens to be a person who is a minority driving the vehicle, if I'm not mistaken. But So what? It was on behalf of white supremacy. It was a vessel for conveying white supremacy and upholding the unfair and toxic values of white supremacy that most people can associate with republicanism or something. Okay? Which is forced on you. It's like Malcolm X said, right? The liberal, the Democrat is just like a Republican in sheep's clothing. They both uphold white supremacy, and they want you to rely on white and whitewashed social orders. Pretty straightforward. Instead of responding to his claim, to his argument, they killed him. And when they killed him and have failed to respond to his argument to this day, they basically agree with him. That was their way of conceding his point. There's no excuse for that. So when we look at the issue of relationships, what do they often tell you when they say that there's a problem? They say, yeah, there's a problem. They basically tell you to be more white. Whether it's on YouTube or otherwise, they say, work on yourself. How? In a society where they pretend that racism doesn't exist with over 1,000 hate groups on record, they pretend either it doesn't exist or it's not a problem. There's over 1,000 hate groups on record. You stupid fuck, and some of them have thousands and thousands of members. And there's religions that have racial biases. Think about the various forms of racism. Racism exists on a spectrum. Not every racist is the most racist person that ever lived. It has a spectrum. And you're going to act like that doesn't factor in big time? When many white people themselves have said that the biggest problem in America is white supremacy. Can you imagine being that fucking stupid? They think all they have to say is, oh, here we go again, and magically they won that exchange? Can you imagine being that much of a fucking caveman? That much of a fucking Neanderthal? Fucking retarded. Anyway, so they'll come into the situation in the midst of their extreme arrogance and denial and fragility and privilege, suppressing the guilt in their mind while their brain rots more and more. Instead of listening to their conscience, they shut it down. That's like shutting down vital activities of the brain, so to speak. So the brain's not functioning very well. It's like a car breaking down, there's smoke coming out of it. They're like, I don't care, it's not a problem to me. I'm fucking retarded. And they'll say, well, you got to be forward to get married. Excuse me. You made a system that's for white people by white people. Martin Luther King was assassinated like 13 years before I was born. Okay? 1968, he was killed. There's tons of racist people celebrating. And there's still racist people as far as the eye can see. Redlining has been acknowledged. People have been, held accountable to some degree for the practice of making sure that black people don't get certain home loans because they're black and nothing else. You think that has no implications on job discrimination? You think because sometimes people sue people unfairly for racial discrimination in regards to, job discrimination? You think that it doesn't actually occur? You think because some people are falsely accused of rape that no one ever gets raped? Are you that fucking dull and that stupid? So they inject their white supremacy arguments. They say, well, you ever tried, going to a white church? You can meet them there. Or you try, joining a white or whitewashed social club. Or getting a mentor who's white or whitewashed. Yeah, that always helps. What about a whitewashed dating coach? What about controlled opposition? What about a proxy for white supremacy? He'll give you good advice. It's fucking retarded. And so when you see that the system is for white people, by white people, and they have sabotaged people of color, we can no longer in good conscience say that it should be the best man for the job and that's all there is to it. In terms of getting that individual job, sure, why not? But in terms of, hey, throw the people you sabotaged for generations under the bus because they're no longer qualified to get a job, fuck you. And go to hell. God is watching. Can you imagine? Can you imagine we go through the list of ways that people of color and poor white people are sabotaged? And then they say, well, beggars can't be choosers, that's all there is to it. Well, people who have been convicted time and time again of crimes against humanity should be begging for a lighter sentence as they face life without the possibility of parole at least. And beggars can be choosers, but you use a broken scale. So then the argument then goes to, well, I'd love to see you enforce it. So your argument is you worship the devil, the kids are going to get plugged, women are going to get raped, people are going to get sabotaged and drugged, and their health is going to go to hell, and there's going to be 100,000 plus kids homeless on the street, 700,000 plus people, and people are going to starve, 25,000 people starve to death in this world every day, and beggars can't be choosers, you're going to worship the devil, and that's all there is to it. That is fucking sick. And then you want some bitch-ass motherfucker who's a proxy for that kind of bitch to fucking then give me advice on how to date a woman? You know, why stop there? Why not have him tell me what positions I should use to fuck her too? That's fucking stupid as shit. Why don't you people get that? Want me to date in your same mass murderer, mass rape, child molestation, and covering up for pedo spirit? Mass drugging, mass assault, mass theft? No thanks. Like, I gotta explain this. So what would the righteous man do? What would Jesus do? If he told the Pharisees they're wrong in a religious temple, I think he'd tell the white Jew and LGBT community and the whitewashed people who are helping him that they're wrong about this. And they're wrong about a great many things. That's what Jesus would do. And the people who would try to smooth it over for him are doing what the Pharisees and their allies would do. And the people who are actively trying to stop me, are sucking a Pharisean dick. Pretty straightforward. Now notice when I explain it this way, there's people who can't stand me raising my voice. So lower the volume as needed. Read the annotations. But don't avoid the argument because you're a pussy. Not only have you proven that you're the type of pussy you can't understand what someone's saying when they're raising their voice, even if you watch the video several times or pause it and go back at times. But you're the type of bitch who can't even read the annotations without fucking being too scared. You need to grow the fuck up. His tone when I read it on the annotations, it's scary, it's alarming. I refuse to respond to it. It's some bitch ass fucking shit. You think those kind of Muppet ass pussies should have a consensus of Muppet bitch and determine the direction of humanity? That's stupid too. Obviously, I've proven many things already. That a moral monarchy is preferred to a democracy because everyone's acting like a fucking bitch. Except for me, so to speak, and for nothing else. You want it to be the rule of bitch America, ruled by the masses of bitches. Or maybe some bitch-ass motherfuckers like who are in corporations saying that's what we've been saying, and that's why we should be in charge. You're the reason they're bitches, you bitch-ass motherfuckers. You're more of a bitch than a bitch. What don't you get? So again, in case you missed it the first time, you live in a system of white supremacy where there's a special emphasis on controlling dating. Not just stay away from the white girls, but stay away from the hot chicks of your own race. They're for us and the token minorities to split. And every once in a while some drug-dealing piece of shit gets a hot chick too. Man, fuck all that shit. Okay? That's the system that you're on already. So automatically dating is extremely problematic. And there's a bunch of white supremacists and whitewashed feminists and real pieces of work who are like, fuck you, it's her choice. I don't want to hear that she's wrong, it's her choice. So I don't have the option to discuss it with her? And to say that if she really wanted to be righteous, she would obey the righteous one? That's what you think freedom is? So you think she has a choice on who to date, but I don't have a choice whether or not I can disagree with her decision. That's fucking oppressive as shit. I have sovereignty too, Wake up and smell the fucking coffee. I gotta explain this. And that's in a secular situation. Obviously in a moral monarchy, which I have a right to argue is superior. Thank you. Read the Constitution. Thank you. That I would tell them what the fuck to do. It just so happens, if they were being moral in a way that everyone can agree with no viable counter-arguments, so to speak, if they're being honest, then they can date who they want. But you better believe if they dated in my monarchy, in the way that they are, there would be the biggest intervention in human fucking history. If you're in the kingdom of God, you're not going to date with your bitch-ass fucking scale you've been dating with. Not that white supremacy bitch, not that fucking radical fucking leftist nonsense. None of your bitch-ass shit would exist. Anyway, there are people who think I shouldn't be mad. I came across a nice lady the other day in the video, and she was like, what's going on with the government censoring speech? It should make you royally pissed off. She said it should make you royally pissed off. Not, hey, if you get angry, take medicine. If you get angry, shut the fuck up, buddy. Don't want to spread that sentiment. But it should make you royally, my King of Kings royally pissed off. Shouldn't have to explain this. So again, it's that toxic system of white supremacy I was talking about. They brainwash females to want to date toward that way. They make it harder for you to get a job. They call you a scrub if you don't make lots of money. Lord forbid you do something similar to what I'm doing and you get targeted, which means being blacklisted. It's called blacklisted for a reason, mind you, and it's harder for you to get a job. They've even disabled me. I have back problems. I can't work for too long at one time. I have vision problems. Okay, and as a brain surgeon's son, someone the system owes probably over $1 billion, depending on how you would calculate it, but certainly hundreds of millions of dollars for years and years of abuse and harassment and violating my rights and sexual harassment, on and on and on. They would have me take some kind of bootlicker's pittance disability check instead. That's what happens when these people govern. The most righteous person that ever lived doesn't get a speck of fucking justice. Maybe I shouldn't complain about it. Maybe I should be grateful that I don't live in fucking, Yemen starving to death or something. That's some fucking bullshit. You know what you call a tyrant? Know what is a bitch-ass tyrant? Someone who sabotages other countries to the fucking extreme and say, just be grateful you don't live there while we fuck you right in the fucking ass. So to speak. It's unfucking believable. Maybe I shouldn't cuss when they're fucking torturing me and feel me even right now. Perhaps I should have a very white and polite behavior. Fucking retarded. Perhaps when a female's getting raped, she shouldn't scream for fucking help. You pieces of shit. And obviously she should. Those of you like to twist my words. So again, it's a white racist system. Makes you want to go on and on about individual aspects of it. And they make it harder for you to get a job. Make it so females are gold diggers. They brainwash them to prefer white characteristics. Ironically, that was one of my arguments. I said, look, of all the handsome people out there, I'm the most handsome. And part of why it's universal, in a way that even the white man can appreciate, is because I'm half white and I have a lot of features that come out as the perfect white mix. Okay? There has never been anybody who's more handsome than I was in my prime. Ever. With a universal scale. For example, if you can tell the difference between fucking Gargamel and whatever cartoon character you think represents the most handsome guy, and say, hey, we can all agree that Gargamel's less handsome, then you could agree that my picture was the most handsome there ever was, because it's like that same idea. It's that universal scale. Whether you're talking about a white cartoon character, a Persian one, Aladdin, or whatever you think it is, you say that guy has a certain look that goes beyond Gargamel. It's also that association. Gargamel is ugly because he's ugly and because he represents the spirit of evil. Other people are less attractive than me when I was in my picture, what was the most ideal picture they ever taken, because I was more handsome than them, and it's this picture of the most righteous person that ever lived. Good looking, good looking, great looking, the most good ever, the best looking. Like I gotta explain this. Some people say, that's cocky. It's called the truth. If everyone else with Gargamel sucking a dick and I said, hey, I'm more handsome than them, is that cocky? So it's their failure to acknowledge these obvious things that people should get flogged to death for denying, because the implications are great. For example, if 1,000 kids in Santa Clara County were dying of poison every day, and I say, hey, it's because the water is poisoned, I'm going to tell them to stop drinking the water, and I'm going to address the water, and you tried to stop me. And I say, look, what the fuck? I've proven it to a T. Should you not be flogged to fucking death for interfering? With no, at face value. With no priceless reason to interfere. And so it is with interfering with God's work through Christ. Should people not be flogged to death for hindering my progress? For shunning me? It says in the Bible, it's not good for him to be alone. Let him have a suitable helper. And I reached out to women for years and years. I said, look, I need a suitable helper. And I need all of you to help me to save this world. Because God's judgment is if you do not rally to the King of Kings, like your give us Barabbas moment, that you're all going to hell with your fucking offspring. And they said no, they have a princess fucking complex. They said no, they're just a brain that if you don't trigger their pleasure centers or their conformity center, that they don't understand, they're not going to do it. No, 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 no. This is part of why I was right about my captives argument. Let's say women are a necessary component of society, and they basically are. Should you just flog them all to death for worshiping the fucking devil? Or would you would you force them to worship God if you were a righteous king in a moral monarchy? What is the Old Testament argument? The argument that was presented to Asa and Hezekiah and Josiah and King Solomon and David, etc., was if they worship the devil, you fucking kill them. That was the argument that was presented. Do not tolerate a witch, stone her to death. Now, a lot of you don't want to hear this part. Oh, you don't want to hear it because you're some kind of namby-pamby or you're some white supremacist. Sounds good to me, white supremacy. And you twist the Bible the next week. But the New Testament does not negate the Old. Matthew 5. It says that Christ did not come to destroy the law, which includes stoning a bitch to death, but to fulfill. Now, somebody say he's twisting it. Well, when he was slapped in front of the Jewish council, which, by the way, is a bitch move. You slap the top martial arts ever because you're surrounded by cops in front of a racist council of fucking bitches? That doesn't make you the man, and you don't triumph. It makes you a bitch-ass motherfucking pussy hiding behind a badge like a bitch. If you don't know that, you don't know nothing. Okay? He didn't say it's wrong to slap someone. He did not say that. He said, if I did nothing wrong, why do you slap me? He said, if I did nothing wrong, why did you slap me? When they're about to stone the woman caught with adultery to death. He didn't say, why the hell are you going to stone somebody? That's barbaric. That's crazy. I'm back. I'm the Messiah. He didn't say that. He said, the one without sin cast the first stone. Because the idea is that you have to be in a moral Jewish state, in the Old Testament, in the story, mind you. And you have to be serving God to then execute judgment on somebody else. First remove the log from your own eye, then remove the log from your brother's eye. First be in the divine order, then stone the bitch to death. How the fuck dare she? That's the argument being made. And watch, they're not going to present a viable counter-argument. Well, my church said... Okay, so I originally had raised my voice and I said, F your church, and that they're probably stuffing a kid right now. Okay? But instead, let's just say, okay, that they don't understand God's work because they're too busy doing the wrong thing.